Assalamu alaikum students. Today we are going to cover the section 1 of research proposal, that is introduction. The objective of this video is to make you able how to write the introduction section of the research proposal. Previously I have covered 5 subtopics, that is the background, statement of the problem, objective, research question and justification, and in this video I am going to focus on limitation, scope, assumption and the definition of the key terms. Sixth heading of introduction section of research proposal is limitation. Now over here under this heading you have to mention what this study will not be able to accomplish and under what circumstances and conditions or the settings the result will be applicable and the reason of the limitation. Basically the purpose behind mentioning this limitation is that so that the readers or the people who are going to read your research will know that your research is focused on any specific particular topic and won't be able to cover much larger area. Like for example, if you are focusing on any particular university of any particular city, so you have to mention that the reason why you are not able to cover all the universities of that particular city or country even. Okay, mentioning this is the purpose behind is that others won't object on it. Like for example, if you won't mention the limitation, then people might will object on the selection of your participant or the limitation of your research. So it's better to mention yourself. Now basically there are two types of limitations: theoretical limitation and methodological limitation. Theoretical limitation means it restricts generalizability due to the use of specific theoretical concepts in a study or limiting the study of the variables through operational definition. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल अगर कोई ऐसी आप वो यूज़ कर रहे हैं थ्योरी जिसको आप अब किसी थ्योरी को अप्लाई कर रहे हैं, आप उसको चेक करना चाह रहे हैं कि थ्योरी कितनी वैलिड है कितनी नहीं है, तो वो क्योंकि जनरलाइजेबिलिटी उसकी कम होगी, थ्योरी किसी स्पेसिफिक ग्रुप पे ही आप अप्लाई कर रहे होंगे उसकी चेक करने के लिए, तो उसके लिमिटेशंस होंगी उसकी जनरलाइजेबिलिटी की. ठीक है, ये सिर्फ थ्योरी से रिलेटेड है. Second is methodological limitation, which results from some of the methodological factors such as unrepresentative sample, weak design, single setting, limited control over extraneous variables, poor data collection procedure, ineffective use of statistical analysis. Therefore, researchers usually mention limitation of their study so that the readers can have idea about the credibility and generalizability of the research findings. For example, you are collecting, you most of you are thinking of doing case study कि जिन्हें यूनिवर्सिटी से ही हम डेटा कलेक्ट कर लेंगे. ठीक है, जब आप एक ही जगह से डेटा कलेक्ट करेंगे तो ऑब्वियसली उसकी जनरलाइजेबिलिटी कम होगी. तो आपको ये मेंशन करना पड़ेगा कि भाई मैं एक ही यूनिवर्सिटी से कर रही हूँ बिकॉज आई एम नॉट एबल टू गो इन और आई डोंट हैव एक्सेस टू अदर यूनिवर्सिटीज और वट एवर द रीजन इज, राइट. इस तरह से मेंशन करेंगे तो ये होगा कि यू आर शोइंग द क्रेडिबिलिटी और द जनरलाइजेबिलिटी ऑफ योर रिसर्च. Otherwise people might object that there is no generalizability. So if you will point that out, then it will save you from any negative comments. Okay, so I hope these two types are clear to all of you. Now moving towards the scope, which are also sometimes known as delimitation. अब जैसे limitation था, you were limiting, so over here you are delimiting, you are showing the scope कि yes, this is the scope, this is what I am thinking of doing and this is what is the importance of it. Okay, to what extent this study will be conducted, what will be the label, the area, the sample, the aspect of the topic. Okay, on how many people, how many participants will be there, this is what will be covered in this scope. To what conditions and settings the results can be generalized or applicable. Okay, so basically the focus over here is ऑन योर डेटा कलेक्शन। जो चीज़ें वहाँ नहीं थी लिमिटेशन में, आपने लिमिट्स के तौर पे शो किए हैं, उसके ऑपोजिट वो चीज़ें यहाँ पे स्कोप में उसकी इम्पोर्टेंस बना के शो करनी है कि येस this is important because this is I'm like for example if it is Kozai experiment, right? In Kozai experiment it's very difficult to control the participants, right? But there is a scope as well that the results are more authentic as compared to any other research. Okay, so you have to mention the scope in this subsection. Now, assumption, basically it states the assumptions that you have taken to conduct this study. Usually assumptions are mentioned in qualitative researches. So those who are planning to do qualitative researches will have to add this assumption, otherwise it's not necessary to add assumptions. Those who are, I think none of you are doing that Kozai experiment. Otherwise, if you are doing Kozai experiment, then you have to add hypothesis over here, okay, instead of assumptions. So those who are doing qualitative research will have to add this subheading. Otherwise, if you are doing quantitative research, especially surveys and other types, then there is no need to add this as this subheading assumption. Okay, now the definition is that assumptions are statements that are taken for granted or are considered true even though they have not been scientifically tested. Assumptions are principles, those are accepted as being true based on logic or reason, but without proof or verification. The factors, ideas happening that you assure the background basis of your research. Without these reasons, it might seem meaningless or out of place. Okay, so it means basically that you are thinking that this is the right thing, this is the right idea, and this might be the result. Okay, क्वालिटेटिव में क्योंकि फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी होती है और इसलिए हम पहले से मेंशन कर देते हैं। ये मैंने आपको जब क्वांटिटेटिव और क्वालिटेटिव करवा रही थी तब भी मैंने आपको ये बात मेंशन की थी कि आप लोग मतलब क्वालिटेटिव रिसर्चेस थोड़ी ज़्यादा फ्लेक्सिबल होती हैं और हमें उसमें एजम्पशंस स्टार्टिंग में हम मेंशन करते हैं इस तरह से कि भाई ये पॉसिबल है। अब आगे जैसे जैसे स्टडी आगे बढ़ती जाती है, क्वालिटेटिव रिसर्च करते जाते हैं आप, तो assumptions कैन चेंज, देयर इज़ नो प्रॉब्लम इन इट। ओके, आपने शो कर दिया कि भाई दिस इज़ व्हाट इज़ गोइंग टू बी द रिजल्ट, right? But if the result is changed, if the result is different from what the assumptions were, then there is no problem in it. You just have to mention in the result that this was the assumption but this is the answer. And if it's the same, then you have to mention that that the result is exactly the same as is mentioned in assumption. But over here right now, this is what I'm talking about, the research project. Okay, in research proposal you just have to mention the assumption that this is the assumption, this is what is going to be the result of it. Okay, I hope the idea of assumption is also clear. Now the last section of the introduction section is the definition of the key terms. You must have identified some key terms or the special terms of your research, right? So now is the time that you have to define those key terms or any acronym that you have used in your research, that you will use in your research. You have to define it over here. Okay, you can take the definition from any dictionary or from any research paper, but after the definition you have to show the connection that how it is used in your, it will be used in your research. Okay, so the hint is that consider the keywords, repetitive terms, major themes, concepts, construct and variables that are very frequently used in your research paper research. You can also select from your title, even from the title as well. Okay, so that's all for this video. If you like this video, if you have a good understanding of the research proposal now, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much.